podcast, the only podcast called Never Seen It, that's worth listening to. With us tonight, Mr. Arnie, the one-man party is here. Arnold Callego, Mr. Daily Dares, a.k.a. Filipino Grigio, a.k.a. Alex Callego, the brothers Callego, Mr. Ghost Nerd 88, a.k.a. Justin Holden, and what's a Never Seen It podcast about? That Denver girl, Amber Wyatt. And then there's me, Boots Too Big, a.k.a. Adrian De La Torre. Tonight we're discussing the 2026 hit horror film Obsession.
No.
What?
No, don't do that! I thought we were having a nice day!
We are. Sit
Why
down.
does it matter? I thought we were having a nice
We are.
day!
We are.
Directed by Curry Barker. After breaking the mysterious One-Wish Willow to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a dark, sinister price. And I believe I chose this movie, not because it's a hot movie, but also because I think it's a relevant movie for the times we're living in. But I don't want to go off too much of a tangent here. I want to get right into it. First question of the night, we'll go around the room. Who is the real villain of this movie? Amber, I want to start with you.
I guess the real villain is the guy who made the wish, but that bitch is really annoying, so it's hard to tell. I can't really choose.
Why do you think he's more the villain than her?
I almost feel okay, so I feel like he's not a villain because he, you just say stuff like, I could wish for like endless amounts of Indian food and like become super fat, like unintentionally because it's so good. Like he just said it and he didn't think. Like it's the tale as old as time. Like it happens on the X-Files. Like every time somebody makes a wish, they just don't word it correctly. So it's like he said, I wish that she would love me more than anybody in the fucking world. And it's like,
I feel like a good lawyer would add the right amount of caveats to every wish. You know what I mean? That was Bear's problem.
But in the same vein, like, how long can a wish go on for before it's null and void? You know, is there a contract somewhere? Maybe
that's a good point. I don't know that we're supposed to think about that in this story, but I like that idea though as a concept.
Well, didn't they say that the wish continues until like either one person is dead? So
I thought that was just for this specific scenario.
No,
I think across
that's
the board.
That's the only like surefire thing. If there were a contract, was like if you die, then its effects go away. But like, can you just keep wishing? Like if you just did a whole run-on sentence and you're like, oh, and you just made like wish after wish, all in one go in one sentence or
it's
two
like a
sentences
voicemail limit. You get 1 minute.
Exactly. Yeah. What's the limit to how long a wish is?
You can say a lot of shit in 1 minute, though.
Yeah.
Arnold, who's the villain of this story, in your opinion? In your humble opinion?
Is the unseen demon or whatever that takes over the girl.
It takes over
that was my
Nikki.
initial thought, but then I don't know. The dude, what was his name? Josh?
Bear.
Okay, yeah, because I watched a few different movies last night, so I might be getting them confused today.
You mixed up your movies, yeah. What was the one you watched? The Handmaid's Housemaid. I almost said The Handmaid's
I think
Tale.
it was Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney, yeah. And what's her name? Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah. But we're talking about Obsession, not the
Yes,
2015 version, the 2026.
Exactly.
not Arnold's obsession, no. Sydney Sweeney.
Arnold's obsession with Megan Fox.
We're talking about obsession with Megan. Wait, now you're putting words in my mouth.
Arnold, let me ask you this really quick. If you wished for, I almost said Jennifer's body, for Megan Fox's love, how would that go sideways, you think? You know what? Think about that, because we might do that at the end of the episode. Keep that up here.
Yeah, I'll keep fantasizing. Okay.
Yeah, Alex.
Thinking.
What do you think? Who do you think is the real villain of this story? It's a good question.
It is.
Yeah,
a
I was
good
gonna say,
question.
that's a good question.
Hey, it bears discussion. Just kidding. That was bad.
You could say so many people like Bear would be one of them. I think whoever created the One-Wish Willow could be, if they have evil intent to harm when creating that One-Wish Willow, with the knowledge that, oh yeah, you get your wish, but then there's a caveat to it, and they even put it on the box. There's a caveat to like making the wish. if you have to put a caveat. It's like when you buy cigarettes, it has that warning on there. Like it's like this that has carcinogens, can cause cancer. Has
In Australia, they put like pictures of rotted gums and shit.
Yeah, I heard
on the
about
cigarettes.
that. I heard about that. And so it's like people who make cigarettes, they know that it causes cancer and it has like so many health risks to it, but yet they still make it. So that's I think that's evil. Like to put out something that's like bad for you, and still be like, no, we want you to buy it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
you know, that's evil to me.
Not only do they like market it, but like then they put it back on you. Like it's like, okay, if it's like gonna cause cancer, how about not make it? But instead of like doing that, they're like, hey, we tried to warn you, like you still did it. It's on you.
Yeah,
like, come on,
exactly.
dude, take accountability.
Yeah, exactly.
Justin, who do you think is the true villain of Obsession?
My first intention is to say Bear. Absolutely. But at the same time, he bought this thing thinking it was like a joke. And yeah, there were warnings on it. And then the shopkeep also gave him warnings. But this movie is for those people that don't read the fine print on things and just like, oh, nothing bad's going to happen to me. But now you're bound to this thing that you purchased. So I definitely think it's a lot of Bear being a little bit on the selfish side. He was in the moment. He had certain feelings for Nikki, and he was just like, you know, it was just one of those like innocent moments where he's just like, man, I really wish this person loved me. And I feel like it taps into people's desires more than anything. He was a lonely guy. He was unsure about what these people not these people, but he was unsure of these two women's like perspective in the love life and things like that. So definitely Bear's fault for doing all of that, but I think it's a little bit more deeper seated. Maybe it's even like the makers of the One Wish Willow, which is kind of sort of like this sadistic, almost like demonic, maybe even satanic type of company that puts these things out into the world, and they kind of latch on to these people who either really don't give a shit about what they're buying, or people that are absolutely desperate, and they play on people's emotions in that way. So I think it's a few characters and a few themes that kind of are relatively a bad guy. But you know, remember, Adrian, we can't have it that linear, you know.
And that's a good point. I think the real villain of the story is the character Ian, played by Cooper Tomlinson. I think because he like has a chance to help a bear at the end, and he selfishly says, no, give me $1 billion. It's like your bro just told you all this stuff is happening, and you selfishly wished for money. And I'm like, and he has motive, by the way, because isn't it also established that he himself had a crush on Nikki?
They were hooking up on the side.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Up, yeah.
They were straight hook. You're right. So he had his own twisted reasons, I think, to not help Bear at the end. Not that he should have helped him necessarily, but like, I guess you find out who your real friends are.
Didn't they even say that like, what is that? They thought that Ian thought that he was hooking up with Nikki on to get back at Ian or something like that, or like she was getting hooking up with Bear to get back at Ian or something like that.
Well, it was discussed, I forget which characters, but it was discussed that they're like, oh yeah, they were just hooking up on the side, like, you know, just to get back at each other. So whether that was like true or not, I feel like it's felt because of how Ian reacts to their relationship, how hard Nikki fell in love with Bear. You could see that it really irritates Ian. But he may not like vocally say it, but you could see it in his expressions when both of them are around each other. He's kind of like caught off guard.
He was giving him advice at the beginning of the movie. Was that all like in bad faith, you think?
No. Nikki was saying that he was like Sarah was into Bear.
Yes, she was the one. But I think when his boy was giving him advice, you know how you have girls that you just have like a sexual relationship with, but it is not vibing. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know.
Maybe my boy could actually vibe with her. Like what we have is just physical. That's what I got from it. Like him and Nikki, they were really just like good friends hooking up. Like, but then he thought, hey, Bear, you seem to really love her. Like we don't have that. Like, you know, so he was giving him advice like genuinely like, sure, like if you can make it go somewhere, go ahead. But like with me and her, it's just that.
So you don't think he had bad motives behind his advice in the diner in the beginning?
I
No.
don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think I don't know. I
Well,
just keep it like that.
I think, and this is coming from somebody that's had an experience not exactly similar, but it's like, like, okay, this is your best friend. You obviously had like a thing or maybe even feelings for this person that you were seeing just more or less as like a side thing or with benefits thing. But it's like, if you're my friend and you are talking to somebody that I was personally like, I either had feelings for that I didn't express it to them and I kind of just dragged my feet on it, but you're actually like genuinely as a friend you're happy for that person, you're happy for your friend because they're in a relationship and they seem like they love each other, at least surface level. Of course, I would give advice to my friend. I'd be like, yeah, I'm rooting for you because you're my friend. I'm not going to be like this awful person to you because you suddenly like stole my side chick from me or anything like that. Like I've actually had an experience like that in the past, and I asked my friend, I was like, hey, I know that you two were a thing, but is it cool? I actually asked him first and he's like, yeah, it's cool. I mean, he may have felt a type of way, but he's like, at the end of the day, she's going to choose what she's going to want to choose, and she's going to want to live her life the way she wants, and I'm not going to be the one to stop her from doing that. You're my friend and I care about you and I just want to see you happy too. And this is also like, he was seeing, the funny thing about that is that he was also seeing somebody at that time too. So realistically, when it comes to the human condition, it is a little bit more of a tough subject that people would rather not touch on or experience, but it does happen where people are like, yeah, I'm okay with it, and at the end of the day, my loss for not speaking up, unfortunately. But maybe someone else has a different opinion on that.
It brings up the interesting conversation about, like, I feel like a lot of guys, especially men, have this like feel like they own, like they have ownership towards somebody because they were a partner or friends with benefit or whatever. And it's like that's kind of something that I feel like they touch on in this movie thematically, right? Because Bear essentially like owns Nikki when he makes that wish, and like that's just like it's fucked up because it's like you're basically taking away her agency, because the real Nikki is still inside, mind you. That's not the real Nikki that is obsessed with him. That's something else. Some people said it was like a demon type of dynamic. I feel like they were a little fuzzy on that. What do you guys
I feel
think?
like it was like, kind of like possession.
Yeah,
It was like a
possession.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's that part where Nikki was sleeping, and then you hear her like, or what was she saying?
She's
Like
like-
She's
whispering.
like, help me, kill me, or
Yeah,
Oh,
kill
yeah,
me.
kill
She's like,
me.
kill me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but no,
Oh, that was
I
crazy.
I went through something similar as like what Justin said, and like very similar. I kind of like was in the position of Bear, right? Like where, you had these two friends you were close with. One of them, like the girl, she was, I was attracted to. I was like literally obsessed with, like she like I wanted to be with her so badly. And then the friend, he was like wasn't even encouraging me to like date her, right? She's like, yeah, like I think she likes you, blah blah blah. But then it almost, at the end of the day, it almost felt like they were kind of making fun of me. Like
That's
they
fucked
were
up.
like, I couldn't have this person because like you guys were dating on the side. But it was weird too, because they, like, I remember like they were dating, but at the same time they were kind of like, I guess they wanted, like, like my friend wanted it to be secret, right? So they like, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that they were dating. I think she kind of told me in a roundabout way, and then I like that he was interested in her, but then I found out they were full on dating, and I kind of felt like used in a sense, like my emotions were played with. Like she used me quite often to get things that she wanted,
Right.
just because she knew I had a crush on her.
Right.
I was vocal about it. I told her, she's like, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll see, like it was that kind of really weird. And it like was this painful, like everything was in like my arm's reach, but never got there.
Right.
And then it's messed up too, because like what happened was they ended up like getting into this ugly breakup.
And I think that's what makes this story so relatable, right? Is that they play with those types of group dynamics in the story. They sort of make them all seem like they're this happy, tight friend group working at was it a record store? What was some kind of store together? And really you start to find out that there's like
music
cracks.
Store. Music and
there's a music store. And you start to find out that there's cracks in their friendship. By the way, really quick, what music store do you guys know of that's not like Guitar Center that has like that many employees? I thought that was like a lot of people working at a little mom and pop shop.
Guitar Center had that. Guitar Center had that.
Right, that's a big franchise. I'm talking
about
not
Guitar Center. What was it? Musicians Outlet.
Oh, and
Musicians
yeah, I remember that story.
Remember?
Yeah, but I was gonna. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quick. Indy Navarrete, her performance definitely carries this story. She's gotten a lot of praise for this, and I know they say like horror movies not really respected at the Academy Awards. But Justin, what do you think? Do you think she could be up for an Oscar for next year? Possibly, maybe. We'll see.
A lot of the character, actually, I honestly think was it Michael Johnston, and how do you pronounce her name? I'm so sorry. Indy
Navarrete.
Navarrete. Yeah.
Navarrete.
My bad if I butcher it. I'm so sorry, but
you're good.
I feel like both of them could potentially be up for nomination for sure.
Yeah.
Nikki especially.
Yeah.
My God, she had me terrified. I don't think I've ever okay, I go into horror movies, right? And most of the time it's, the same old tropes and scares, and I'm not particularly a big fan of like the jump scare. I think it's kind of an abused stereotype for horror movies. But when a horror movie can really like unnerve me in a way where it's like, it's not necessarily a jump scare, but it's like, oh man, like this shit feels like rooted in reality. That's when I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm like really scared. I think the character of Nikki scared me and unnerved me in a way that I feel like when I was in the theater watching this, like my mouth was open, jaw dropped the entire time. I'm like, oh my God, she's terrifying. But it's such a she has such a simplistic premise with complex writing behind her, and I'm like, God damn, dude, she effectively unnerved me for sure.
I agree. I mean, so many moments where she unnerved me as well. I think the first one that stuck out was when the first time that they're making love or whatever, if you can even call it that, and she's just like dead stare as he's like on top of her. Like that was like the first moment, and then there was like that weird moment in the bedroom where she's got the fucking makeup on and she's in the corner. I'm like, God, that's like straight out of the fucking Exorcist or something, man.
I feel like it was like the stuff that was like in the shadows, the silhouettes.
Yes, the shadows.
That stuff, like,
and the little gleam in her eye. Did you notice?
It made her look demonic. The way that they, and her expressions, the way she was able to like contort her face,
right,
made her look so maniacal. Like, remember like, when she was just standing there waiting for Bear to come home? She had that smile. She's like,
that reminded me of what's the movie with Maxine? What's the Mia Goth? Mia Goth
Maxine X,
Pearl and X,
Pearl and X. Yeah, that was great. I love that the movie, like it's perfectly paced. It takes its time. That shot, particularly where she's like smiling, and then the camera slowly like goes down into her legs, and you see the urine running down her legs. I'm like, that is just like, it's doing so much with such a simple thing. Like, it's not even a complicated shot or anything like that. But yeah, Amber, what unnerved you the most in this film?
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of what Justin said. Like, it was scary to me in a way that, like, it reminded me of people I know. And it's like,
oh no,
what causes this? Like, it kind of got me into, like, it being, like, potentially, like, a social media commentary. Like, why are women so insecure now? Like, is this, like, kind of an illustration of, like, you know, how some women are, like, actually, like, losing their minds right now? Or, like, maybe it happens to some guys, too, like...
In what way? Like, what do you mean, like, specifically?
Dude, I've had people that, like, blow my phone up and, like, okay, I was telling you, like, I can think of so many girls. It's crazy. But it's like I went into the bathroom to take a shower, and then I came out and I had, like, calls from the girl that was in the same house with me supposed to be in the bed sleeping. And then I open up the bathroom door after the shower, and there she's standing. And she's like, "Why did you lock the door? You never lock the door on me. Why would you lock the?" It's like, I'm taking a shower. That's why, like. And then she like asked to go through my phone and stuff. It's like, can I go in the bathroom like without, like, dude, like I've actually met women like that, and it's like horrific. So like when I was watching it, like it was scary on a different tip than like any type other, like being isolated or being trapped or like, whatever premise of any other horror film, like being
Let me ask you this. Do you think that's part of the reason why this has resonated with younger audiences?
Yes, I think so. And like I was just out, like it's being chased like in a more like I don't know, like illustrative way. Like it's like in my mind it's like the same as like Jason chasing you through like Camp Crystal Lake, but like psychologically. Like you are like not psychologically free to like stop and like relax at any time. Like it's always something like it's just like emotional abuse. It's like and it's like you even have to think about like the abuser, and it's like, why are they like this? Like, and it's like, is it because like girls look so hot on Instagram and like everyone feels insecure now? Like, is it because like our gender roles have changed and like women don't know what their role is anymore? Like, I don't know, but it's just like it really like was horrific for me in that way, and it had me thinking like, yo, I know some people like this. Like, what's going on in the world? Like, what's wrong with society?
Justin, you had something?
Just kind of like stepping back a little bit to like the scene in the dark with the crazy makeup. It's kind of reminiscent of the movie Hereditary when you that opening like sequence where we have what's her name, I forgot her name, but she's like sitting in her no
Sydney Sweeney, no.
Alice Cooper, no, just joking. Anyway, she's sitting in her like mom's room, or she's sitting in a room or whatever, and like just briefly out of the corner in the complete darkness, it's like kind of like a grayed washed out corner of the room, and you can barely make the details out of her mother sitting there smiling back at her, and it reminds me of how unnerving even that experience was, and nothing really happened. It was just like she's in the corner, and then just like little things like that really play on I would say even the viewer's psyche sometimes. It's funny because that also brings up a thing about how when I was a lot younger, I would be in my room, alone, and it would be pitch black dark. I like being in a pitch black dark room, but when I was younger, I used to not like it so much because you ever like wake up in the middle of the night and open your eyes suddenly, and then you can kind of see, maybe it's me, maybe I'm the crazy one here, but your mind kind of plays tricks on you, and it kind of develops like faces in front of you, or like figures, and not saying that it's like some paranormal stuff going on.
Have you ever had sleep paralysis? That'll fuck with you. That'll fuck with your perception.
I have had that, and that's terrifying.
Not fun.
And that scene with Nikki standing in the corner kind of reminds me of that, like where you're sitting there, you're trying to make out what the fuck is in that corner over there, and whether it's your mind playing tricks on you or not. And I feel like those two movies really do it well for me. It just reminds me of more terrifying times when I was younger too.
And again, it's like it goes back to the shadows and the lighting and stuff, and they do a lot with the shadows in this movie. And in Hereditary, that was Toni Collette, her character in Hereditary, by the way. Toni Collette, and that's a great reference, because a lot of people were talking about how, like, this has some Hereditary vibes, but this still stands on its own 2 feet, for sure. But yeah, I wanted to ask you guys as well. Like, Bear has an out towards the end of the movie by killing himself, but wasn't there an out earlier than that? I'm trying to remember. I feel like he had an out to take care of to undo this whole mess. Was it just at the end, or was there something before that? I can't remember exactly. Does anybody remember?
Wasn't he trying to have Ian make a wish? Like,
there was that, but I could have sworn there was something hinted at. Maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but I know he had at least one out earlier. There wasn't the option because the guy, he calls the number on the One Wish Willow, and the guy tells him, "Oh, you got to kill yourself, right, in order for it to undo anything."
That's all it was. He like if
That's all it was.
like it's just you. That's the only way out.
So
Kill
he didn't
yourself.
have an out that did not involve killing himself, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a bit of a Sophie's choice there. What was the wish that you guys think Nikki makes at the end? At the very end, and I missed this too after my first viewing. But when Bear's in the bathroom,
what you might be thinking about is when she asked him to kill her. Like that would have been a way out too. But
that would right.
Do it.
That
was
wish,
one option.
I think the wish that Nikki made was that Bear would love Nikki as much as she loved Bear.
Oh, that's why he didn't take the pills.
He still took the pills.
He did. Okay.
The wish was a little
pills.
too late. That's why.
Yeah. He took the pills.
The wish came too late. Like it worked. It worked. It just came too late. Yeah.
You could see the look on his face when after he took the pills, where he like snaps into this like I'm in love with Nikki, and so he leaves the bathroom and they're together, and then they start making out, and then he starts convulsing and like foaming at the mouth, and then he falls into her lap, and she's like they're sitting, and then you see her about to shoot herself.
She doesn't actually shoot herself though.
No, because he dies.
Because he's died. That's right. And she wakes up and she's like,
both of her wishes end.
Right. That was such a brilliant ending because of the implications of what's going to happen after that we don't see. When the camera pushes in on her and she's like, what the fuck is going on? And like the cops are probably on their way. Like that's going to leave her more fucked up than anything else that she went through this entire fucking movie. Including killing Ian when he walks through the door, just boom, just shoots him. Doesn't even think about it. That was fucking hilarious. And then obviously killing the gruesome death suffered by poor Sarah, played by the actress Megan Lawless. That has to be the most brutal death in the entire thing. And what I loved about that scene was the tension, because you know she's coming. Like I knew she was coming. I don't know when, I don't know how, but she came, and then she just fucking destroyed poor Sarah.
She was like a juggernaut, just like bam.
She had like a GPS or something on tracking device on Andrew. Wait, no, Andrew was a different movie.
Different movie. That's you're watching. The scene in the bar where they go have the drinking game with all their friends and Sarah's there. The tension in that scene where Nikki slowly walks behind Sarah, and I'm like, oh God, what is she gonna do to her poor girl? And then she just like slides her out of the way, and then she kneels down for Bear to kiss her. It was like tension and then release, and then like just the hilarity of that scene was so fucking well crafted.
People be doing that though. Like, for real. I'm not even kidding. I've seen that happen before. I'm like, oh, that's awkward. Like, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
But you were talking about the lack of jump scares or the jump scare trope earlier. This movie does have jump scares, but they're not like your traditional jump scares, I felt, right? They were more, I don't know, they were more organically weaved in. Like Nikki fucking walking backwards in that weird way. Like, that was a jump scare. Not the typical jump scare you would expect, but what do you think about that, Justin?
She did that so well.
Right, yeah.
Like, those weird movements, I was like, whoa.
And you know how she did that? She studied a ballerina, I believe. Was it you, Amber, that was telling? Somebody was telling me.
Wow.
That she studied a ballerina. She, like, worked with the ballerina on how to, like, move your body, like, back and forth like that, and that's how she did it.
Oh, I thought she'd, like, learn how to, like, pop, lock, and drop it or something.
I thought they just reversed the tape. I thought it was just a simple editing trick.
It's going back to like the beginning of the movie. On the first wish. That's what I was thinking of. I was holding on to that thought. I think they did a really Nikki. She did a really good job. Like, you see her normal, right? And he's giving her a ride home, and then he's in the car. He makes that wish, and then you think that she goes inside the house. But then, right after she makes that wish, she is like standing outside, and I'm like, I didn't think like the wish would work that fast. But she did such a good job. I don't know if they did any other, like, I don't know, camera, like I don't know,
tricks,
CGI or tricks. her eyes looked like possessed. I don't know if you
It was
oh, yeah,
a
you guys,
little gleam of light in
yeah,
the eyes.
like it looked extra dark. I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys were talking about like if you had a similar experience of like um if there was someone that you liked and common people that you liked and you didn't want to you know drink from someone else's Kool-Aid, so to say. I never really had that sort of situation, but I've had a situation where I feel like I've come across people who were like legit possessed because like I've seen
Wow.
them before, but then like it was not them. It could have been, the alcohol, the drugs.
You know when
but
you know
then
that, Arnold? You know when you know that? If they're
what?
trying to sell you an MLM. That's when someone's been possessed.
They got
Uh-oh,
dollars
Arnold.
in there.
Arnold's been possessed many a time.
Oh no, Arnold! He's trying to sell Cutco. You trying to
No.
sell some Herbalife?
I had this
Those are
funny
lame,
thing,
man.
a funny story about MLM. I'll just make it really quick. I had a friend one time come up to me and he was like selling me on this whole idea. And we were in a restaurant when he was doing this, and he was telling me about all the benefits and things about this. And I was like, that's weird because it sounds like a pyramid scheme. He's like, it's not a pyramid scheme and it's not an MLM. And then he was like drawing me a picture
Of a
about
pyramid?
how all of this worked. No, that's the thing. It was he wasn't drawing a pyramid, so to say. And as he finished drawing it out, I like took the paper and I flipped
Was it a
it
funnel?
upside down. And then it was a pyramid. It was
Yeah,
what does they
yeah.
call it? Was it something networking or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that shit was bullshit. I was like, and then he never talked to me ever again about it.
Well, no, of course. Why? Well, the embarrassment alone would be enough to kill that. Did you have some thoughts though, Justin, on something that we were discussing earlier?
Yeah, earlier though, I just wanted to kind of divert it back to Ian and his $1 billion, and I kind of wanted to open this with like a little bit of a question. So when it comes to Ian, and he wishes for the $1 billion, and the $1 billion just falls out of the sky, okay? And then I think even HLP asks something similar to this in the chat if you want to go back. But do you think that Ian may have been possessed? Do you think the one wish willow is only like for like the opposite person, or if you wish something for yourself, do you also get possessed by that? Because I found it kind of strange. He's like, I wish for $1 billion, breaks it, $1 billion falls out of the sky
Immediately.
right immediately. Okay, and then scene like a couple of things happen. Scene ends later on when Bear's going back to his apartment or house or whatever, and he's having that crazy shit happen with Nikki, and he bursts through the door and he's like, hey man, the $1 billion was real. Then bam, spoiler alert, he gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think he was possessed in that moment himself? Because I find it really odd. So, okay, I get it. He's a friend. He's like, hey, the $1 billion is real. But I interpreted that scene as maybe he was potentially possessed in his own way, because it immediately like brought him back to Bear, and it seemed like there was a little bit of an attachment thing going on with that as well. Do you guys think that may have been like a thing
I don't think he was possessed. I think
Yeah.
I think what happens with that whole situation, if the wish is intended for something to, like, say for instance, there's like a need for a possession, like for Nikki to fall for Bear, there's need for that. But when it comes to something like money or some sort of, I wish there was a car, or I wish for a car,
Right.
I think you get the thing, but then there's still, so here's the thing. This is very similar to an episode of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm pretty sure you've seen this episode, Justin, if you're a fan of that show, where they talk about, like, there's one of the main characters, he gets a wish, and he's down to his last wish, and he's like, I wish I can't remember the wish, but then they're like, hold on. And his friend was like, you can't, whenever you wish something, there's always some sort of caveat, because he's like, the genie is there, and they're like kind of negotiating this thing, and I remember now. he wanted the best penis in the world or something like that, and it like, and he's like, all right, he's wait, it can't be like two penises. You can't have one penis and another thing, and then so they had to have like
no.
so they had to have like they made like they wrote down all these exceptions and things like that. There was like this whole contract, and then like I forgot, but then he like they finally nailed down the contract and everything like that, and then it was then he like they said something to the effect of like I wish like my penis like would only work with like when I looked at my friend, and he's like, there you go. And so they fixed they changed the whole wish, and it was like, damn it. So
they amended their wish.
Yeah, they amended that wish on the last minute out of like off of a joke, like a sarcastic joke.
Didn't they also do that in the movie Bedazzled?
I don't know.
Was it Bedazzled? Yeah, where he's like, oh, I wish I was like,
strong and tough,
super popular basketball player or something like that, but he was dumb as rocks.
But that's the whole thing. It's like
Get
a lot of these wish fulfillment movies, stories, they always come with a caveat. That's the whole thing. And I think that if when it comes to Ian, like if it wasn't him getting shot by Nikki, it would have been a multitude of other things that would have killed him. Maybe somebody who like coveted his wealth came and killed him. Maybe he like got into drugs or like he just partied too much and he just like died from that. It could have been a multitude of things of that cursed him for getting $1 billion, but it happened to be. So I don't think it was a possession per se. Like he was excited because I think what he did, what did happen was he finally believed Bear and went over there and he's like, I gotta make this right. But then
why then though? He didn't believe him when the money was literally raining down from the ether.
It became an obsession.
I also think
I
think Bear kind of ran
it's
out
not
of there
possession,
too.
it's obsession. Like, have y'all ever met somebody who's obsessed before and won't stop calling your phone? It
Several
exists.
times. Oh,
It
not that kind.
exists.
Yeah.
That's
Sounds like
happened
you
to
have
me.
experience in this area, Amber.
I've been like stalked by people before, so like, yeah, I do.
That's crazy. I wanted to say so Curry Barker, the director writer, says that he wants to do like an anthology series with the One Wish Willow, which sounds like a great idea. But here's one thing that I will say: don't explain too much how the One Wish Willow works. Don't go too much into the lore. Like this works best if you don't think about it too much. Curry, and if you're watching, and you wouldn't be the first YouTuber to listen to me today, just keep it like vague. You don't have to go into too many details about how it works and where that call center is, if there is even really a call center that for the One Wish Willow. I think this series will work great if we just don't over explain things too much. We don't need that many chlorines.
More like a guy just in his living room eating Doritos, watching TV.
And that was Curry Baker, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh, Curry Barker. I keep saying Baker. Sorry. And that's the other thing I wanted to touch on. And Justin, you'll appreciate this. Let's talk about the sketch comedy to horror pipeline. I mean, we've talked about Shelby Oaks. We've talked. Well, he didn't do comedy, but you know what I mean. We talked about Backrooms. We talked about obviously like Jordan Peele, Weapons. The comedy to horror pipeline. I mean, what is it about people that do comedy or internet stuff and then they move on to horror? Like, what do you think, Justin?
Jennifer's Body also.
Jennifer. Yeah.
I actually watched one of Curry Barker's YouTube videos, and I feel like that was the pivot point. I don't want to even say pivot point because it seems like he's a pretty big fan of like horror films in general. But there was like a video where he played on the vampire trope where you can't where vampires need to be invited in, and he actually played the role of or at least I assume it was vampire, but he assumed the role of a vampire, and he was trying to convince his friend to like let him into the party or something like that, and it was absolutely hilarious. I thought it was really funny writing, but you can also see his inspiration or his lead up into going the horror route as well. I think it's completely awesome that he is able to include some funny scenes in even in Obsession,
This
it
movie
just
is
shows
funny.
it shows that he's very skilled in his writing abilities too when it comes to doing screenplays for movies, because he uh, allows the characters to kind of flow really well with each other. They interact well. They interact as friends, and that's what makes it funny. And then also, those same interactions, he also makes it extremely scary. It's quite interesting to follow his work. Same thing as like Markiplier. I mean, it's insane what these YouTubers are doing, and I'm definitely all for it.
And this movie has grossed $428.1 million worldwide on a budget of $750,000. That is insane.
420 million.
That is insane.
It's like a perfect amount.
It's like it is a perfect amount, Arnold. If you don't mind my saying. We talked about this. We touched on this in our Backrooms episode. How like Hollywood's like running to YouTube to like get ideas for more movies and stuff, but I feel like YouTube is the breeding ground for like the next great storytellers. It already has become that.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, I think when you're talking about like the pipeline from comedy to horror comedy, I think there's a very huge similarity between sketch comedy and horror.
Right.
If you think about it, there's always, when you think about good sketch comedy, there's always a premise, and you build on top of like that premise. And so you just take that idea of having a premise, and instead of making people laugh, you make them horrified. But that's the thing too. I think there's like a part of sketch comedy that you laugh at. So part of it is like that some things that are considered horrific, if you put a tiny twist on it, it's funny. And you see that a lot in this movie.
That's a good point.
Like the simple thing, like just in that room where the party where everybody's at, it was funny to see Nikki do the thing where she moved like Sarah's
chair out of the way.
It was funny, but it could have gone completely horrific if they just like did something else where she's like yanked her chair and like or punched Sarah or hit her on the head.
Isn't that crazy that that's like the expected thing that you think of? It's like I like how he played into that. He was like, okay, the audience is going to think this one thing. Like any normal person would have thought, oh, like Nikki's going to go over there and punch the shit out of her, but she did like the complete opposite of what I think. And I think that also what keeps everybody on their toes during this movie too is that he plays into that, and also he just takes the rug right from under your feet too, and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, and then there's this one sketch that the kids in the hall do. It's a really funny one, but it's basically, so there's this guy who's dying, he's sick, and his family is trying to nurse him back to health, but then death comes and is trying to take him. And if you think about it, if you were to do certain twists to that sketch, it could easily turn into a horror film. But with the way they did it, it's the I don't know, the mechanics of the storytelling that they're doing it that changes it to be a comedy sketch. They do certain things. It's like the intention, the way that they do certain movements, and such a great sketch. And you could see the through line for horror and sketch comedy.
And Kids in the Hall, I believe that was a comedy sketch troupe in like the 90s from Canada or something.
Yeah, they're originally from Canada. They Lorne Michaels actually.
Oh, that was Lorne Michaels.
Well, Lorne Michaels discovered them when they were just doing live sketch comedy.
Oh,
hired some of them to be on Saturday Night Live. There's a great documentary on Amazon about them, and then I guess they did, their style of comedy was just too like crazy for SNL, and so like they actually, I think Lorne Michaels loved them so much that they ended up just giving them their own sketch comedy show, Kids in the Hall, on like HBO. And like this is like the early days of HBO, and they like of doing like live, like taped shows and stuff like that, but
What
it
are
was
the three
like
big
such a
shows like Mad TV, Kids in the Hall, and Living Color? Was that the one with Jim Carrey in the 90s?
in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh
There's
yeah,
a sketch show as well, I believe. And
Well,
Second
yeah,
City.
there was in Living Color. Mad TV was like later on.
Yeah.
Like they were late.
It was like
90s,
mid 90s
early.
to like early 2000s. That's where Key and Peele originated.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
I wonder
they
why
actually
SNL
Kids
has
in the
kept
Hall,
going.
Kids
That's
in the Hall
crazy.
was like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
The HLP brought up in the chat. How did the operator, when Bear calls, how did the operator get Nikki's screams in the background?
Oh wait,
He's
what?
got a crystal ball. He's got a crystal
yeah.
ball. They
Yeah.
got
You can hear her screaming in the background, which is why
Yeah.
I assume it's
Oh,
more of
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
Her
yeah.
soul, maybe
demonic
they took her
satanic
soul.
thing, and they took her
Making
soul.
the
Like,
wish come true is part
That
of
was the real Nikki though. That wasn't possessed Nikki. That was real
Right.
Nikki screaming. Okay. There's so many layers to fucked upness in this entire movie. It's so brilliantly written. It's such a tight script. There's no fluff. There's no like bad pacing. It's like, primo screenwriting. Good
I
job.
didn't think of that it was the real Nikki.
Yeah. that I just realized
Will the
that.
real Nikki please stand up?
Yeah.
We scream now.
Alrighty, gang. Well, any before we start to wrap her up, Amber, did you have any more things you wanted to touch on about this movie, about this story? No. Okay. Well, then fine. We'll start to wrap her up then, and I wanted to leave her with one question to go around the room, which is a question that Justin brought in, which is a great question. And lieu of our final thoughts, if you were to make a one wish Willow, what would it be? And how would it go sideways? And Arnold, I want to start with you on that one because we talked about this a little bit earlier.
Start with me. What will be my wish? And I was thinking about this. And then was it something that I had to do with like what was the wish like?
What's the wish that you would
like,
make, and how would it go
It'll be
sideways?
around Megan Fox. Was that what it was?
Only if you dare, my friend. It's up to you. It's tailored specifically to you, my friend.
I thought about if it was that which I believe that's what you had asked, would be that I would wish for her to be my client, that I would cook for her, because then I just have I'm confident that if I can have her taste my food, if I can give it to her, if I can get it inside her, and then get it. You ever heard the saying that
inside of her stomach, right?
Yeah,
to satiate
the way
her hunger.
to a person's heart is through their stomach.
Right?
If
How
I
would
can get in her
that go
guts-
wrong?
If I can get in her
They're the
guts,
guts, right?
then it'll get up to their heart.
How would that go wrong though? How would that go sideways? That wish.
I make her too much good food, and then I'm like, oh man, hey, you want to work out or anything, or how about
She'd
hey,
get
let's do some
sick and
squats. Let's do some
Get
squats.
diabetes.
Oh,
She'd get
Arnold
make
would
her
be like,
sick.
I have a wife, but she is ill, so just saying. Yeah. You would give her like the what's the thing
fatty
going around?
liver.
What's the thing going around? Toxoplasmosis right now, or what is it? Is it
No,
the-
it's like it's a
Oh,
parasite.
the
No, parasite.
diarrhea
the
parasite.
explosive diarrhea.
It's from Taco Bell, so watch out.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Yo no quiero Taco Bell. That's good, Arnold. That's good. That's a good one. Justin, what do you think? What would be your wish, and how does it go sideways?
I've been trying to think about it, and I haven't really thought of.
Do we want to come back?
of a good
Circle
one?
back?
Yeah, come back to me
right.
on the next one.
Amber, what do you think? What would be your wish, and how does it go
It's like,
sideways?
remember, like you guys know I'm obsessed with the X-Files, and I know if I could wish for anything, I would wish for my mom to come back. And literally, when he does that on the X-Files, like the dude comes back in the condition of like getting hit by a bus. So it's like he's not happy. Like the brother is happy. You know what I mean? So it would go left for sure because it's like
It
they're
sounds
not
like Pet
supposed to
Cemetery
be-
vibes.
yes, when somebody's passed, they're not supposed to. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
but then also my second thing I would probably wish for money, and I'd just be like a bigger dickhead than I already am, which is like damn near impossible. So
That's a good one. Where can people find you, by the way?
y'all can find me on Instagram and X at that Denver girl.
What's your letterbox rating? Really quick.
3 out of 5 is my letterbox rating
Wow, I
because
thought it would be higher.
it triggered me and it was too close to real life.
Okay. That's a fair point. Alex, what would be your one wish willow? How does it go sideways?
The one thing I'm currently just thinking about right now is travel. And so the ability to just travel anywhere I want would please. But I think if, okay, I'd be able to travel and I don't have to like fly. And so like I end up like it's like I could say I'm in Japan, right? So like I end up in like the Mount Fuji, on the top of Mount Fuji. Like, and I die because I'm like stuck on top of some mountain. And so
You end up in a
that's
Mr. Beast video or a Logan Paul video.
Logan Paul, yeah.
Logan Paul.
No, screw
So
that guy.
you want to teleport. You don't want to travel. You want to teleport.
That's
Well,
actually
I'm not like travel to anywhere. If I it's like, oh, I want to travel
just
to
close
here,
your eyes.
just like close, and I'd travel to this.
And it just
But-
randomly
see, but-
drops you
and-
somewhere,
And
Yeah.
that's the thing,
whether
though,
it's
like,
dangerous or not.
yeah, and that's the thing, like that when you think about like the not defining it, that's what it would probably do to me. It would like, oh, you could travel anywhere. Okay, cool. It wouldn't like say, oh, you're gonna travel on a plane. You're just gonna travel, or like say like I wouldn't even have to get on a plane. I just like my body would just fly, and I probably could hit like a plane or some mountain or some car. You know what I mean? So like, and it doesn't even say like I didn't even state that I'd arrive alive. You know?
Right.
I could
right.
like go through walls and like just like splat.
Yeah.
It just be, you know what I mean? It could go
That's a
wrong in
good
so
one.
many different ways. So yeah, I think that's that's my
possibilities
one
are
wish willow
endless.
that would go wrong. And
Where can
yeah,
people
you could
find you on? What's your rating? And then we'll get into this after.
4.5. I really love this movie. And you could find me at Daily Dares on all my socials, and come see us at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, that's right.
Oh wait, this will probably come out after. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I just want to promote like a friend's album.
Oh, nice.
New album just came out.
like
from Younger
that.
Lovers, The Circle's End.
I like the
This is like a
artwork.
really beautiful album. Very, very beautiful. Very grand. I think that if you love shoegaze, if you love like instrumental stuff, sad music, go check it out. They're on all the streamers, but buy the album. I just want to promote them because they're an awesome band, and I just got it
Nice.
yesterday.
Justin.
Mine would be, my one wish willow would be to end war completely. However, everybody has to live in close proximity to the people they hate.
Oh wow.
That
That's
would-
an interesting. That's an interesting social dynamic.
There's a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resentment going around, but they
Especially in
can't.
this
He's a
climate.
pageant
Yeah.
queen.
But hey, no war, no bombs, no nothing. War completely ended, but you just got to put up with it.
There's just maybe a lot of people who would just duke it out, or
Yeah.
Well,
hug it
that's
out.
part of
That would be
part of war.
considered war. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well they would just like hug it out or kiss it out.
Enemies can
make
become
love.
friends. Friends can become enemies.
Frenemies.
But
I don't
then
know if it
people,
was-
but people also hold on to resentment and regret and anger
Yeah.
forever, and it eats them from within. So that's
Yeah, that's
how
a good
people.
point.
So we actually need war.
No,
No.
Oh, when you put it that way, Arnold, yeah, maybe.
we
That
don't
was
need
good.
war. What we need is actual people talking to each other and like hashing it out. That's
yeah,
what
you gotta listen to Bob Dylan. You ever
I was
listen to
just
Bob
gonna
Dylan?
say I was just gonna say exactly
You're
that.
just gonna say,
But you guys beat me to it. You guys beat me
Gotcha.
to the punch.
HLP, by the way, really quick, he says, I wish I would be able to fly, and the way it would go sideways is that all the governments would try to kill me or use me as a weapon. I could see that. I could actually see that.
Not
So
if
that's-
I one wish willow for no war.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Justin?
Yeah, people can find me for my art page, Ghost Nerd 88. For my personal stuff, where I post little silly things sometimes, Shibs the Zombie, SHIBBS the Zombie, and find out what I'm doing next. My rating for this movie on Letterboxd, which is also Ghost Nerd 88, is going to be a complete 100% 5 out of 5. I completely adored this movie. Wonderfully casted, wonderfully directed, wonderfully written. everything about this movie I enjoyed. It unnerved me and scared me in ways I don't think any movie has in recent times, and I appreciate that movie for doing that. And that's my review, man.
Nice. All right, well, Arnold, we're at that part of the show, my friend. It's my favorite part of the show, anyway. This is time for the Arnold Snooze-O-Meter. Arnold, so yeah, what do we think? Obsession? How did you sleep through it?
I will give it a 0 Z rating.
Wow.
0 Z's. I give it 0 Z.
So you were obsessed.
Yeah, we even it was Taco Tuesday. So what did I have? Burritos. No, I had 6 tacos.
Little shot.
I had 6 tacos, and I was really full, and I thought I would fall into a food coma, but I didn't, and I actually I was really feeling sluggish, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna make it, but the movie was
Why
so
don't you
good
eat after
that
you see the movie? You know what I mean?
because
Like,
man, I was hungry, man.
okay,
It
that's
was it was time for dinner, and so it was quick, and I had 3 al pastor tacos, 3 crispy shredded beef tacos. Sucker for, some good old fried tacos. Of course, all the chips and salsa, some jamaica. Because hibiscus jamaica is great in helping to lower your blood pressure. And
Okay.
it's
It's
high in
good
vitamin
for
C.
your urinary tract.
And yes, and so
it's a medical
it
podcast
will,
now.
It will reverse the fat content in the El Pastor. So it's almost like I had nothing then, It's very healthy. And so 0 Z rating, but in my letterbox rating, I'd give it a 4.5. 4.5.
I went into the theater watching this, and I bought like their chicken. I didn't know this. They sold chicken tenders at the Regal Theater. I was like, dang, dude, and it's a lot. It's a lot. They give you a lot, but then it's also cost me like $30 for that and a drink. It's
Jeez.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
I was
going to the
like,
theater is expensive. Look, my hot take is you don't need to enjoy movies in the theater. I watch everything on my phone, and I enjoy it just fine. I
as
watch it in
David Lynch wants you to do.
I watch it in super low res, like on some pirate site, and I don't care, man. As long as the story, that's how I watched Obsession, by the way. It was a bad theater rip, and it still scared the shit out of me. So what does that tell you? You know what I mean?
It tells me that you're cheap.
Well, yeah.
And
well,
you're an asshole for not
in this
wanting
economy-
to pay. You're not wanting to give money to like the artists that deserve it. That's what it tells me.
That's true. That's you know what? I'll give you that, because this was an indie film at the end of the day, and they deserved my $18 or whatever it costs. And that's a whole other topic we didn't touch on, by the way. The art director was like, "You didn't pay me enough," but no.
I wish I could. The money that I've spent on those chicken tenders could have gone to Obsession.
Yeah.
Oh, can I also just say R.I.P. to little Sandy, the
Oh
cat.
yeah, the cat.
Man,
Bear's
oh,
cat.
man.
We talk about
she
Bear's
cooked
cat.
it.
She cooked it. She made cat tacos.
Yeah.
And look, that was
No,
another
it was a
thing.
cat. It was a cat
Cat
Japanese sando. That was.
Yeah. They didn't show the actual dead cat meat. I
It
don't
was
think
Katsu.
it was. And like they didn't have to show it, right?
That
In
deserves
Bear's
a
Lunchbox. But too late for that.
It
We'll have
was
our-
very dark, off color meat.
Yeah.
All
All right. Well, thank you for that, Arnold.
Last but not least. Well, y'all can find me Arnie Callego, Instagram, TikTok, everything I'm doing. Chefing it up, Chef Arnie.
Ooh,
cooking-
you got merch
cooking,
now.
Cooking.
Nice. Repping the brand.
For all the clients out here in the Coachella Valley.
That's awesome. Yeah. Corn. Who's that on Alex's shirt? Is that Mark Zuckerberg?
No,
Can't
it's
hear
Ian Curtis from Joy Division.
Oh, gotcha.
Shark Week.
Nice. All right.
Now,
Well, nice.
last but not least,
Yeah.
you, Mr. BOOTZ Too Big, Adrian.
Well, thanks, Arnold. You owe me a hip shake, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. But
in about 6 minutes.
6 minutes. My One Wish Willow and how it would go sideways. I want to be the world's biggest movie. It's twofold: the world's biggest movie critic and the world's biggest book critic. And that way, if I have a huge following, I'm like respected. I'm making money. But the way it would go sideways is that I would say the wrong things about the wrong person's book, and I would just get dragged through the comments, man. Like, that's gonna happen. So,
You
but you
also
know what?
be literally the biggest in
Yeah.
size.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody would make YouTube videos trashing your reviews at
Yeah.
every given moment, at every review you do.
they would review my
constantly.
reviews, and then I'd review their reviews of my
4
reviews.
hours plus of content per
Yeah.
person.
It'd be hilarious, actually. That'd make it for good content. But all right, gang. Well, that's Obsession for you. You can find me on Letterboxd, by the way. I gave this movie 4 stars on Letterboxd. Find me on Letterboxd. Boots Too Big. Find the show everywhere else. We're on YouTube, Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok, everything. Visit our website, neverseenitpodcast.com. Email us podcast.neverseenit@gmail.com. What movies do you want us to talk about next? Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you thought about Obsession, who the real villain is, and what your One Wish Willow is. And this big thanks to Mr. Kyle Mapson of Burn Cycle. Follow Kyle on Instagram at selfies_food_and_pets for the intro and outro music. Big thanks to Mr. HLP for the Arnold Snooze and music. And that's all I have. Any final thoughts from the gang? Oh, you know what? HLP says he wants us to make our best Nikki face, which I don't know if my face can.
The Nikki frown.
What is it? I can't really do it that well. She's great, and you never read. He's great at that. Any final thoughts from the gang aside from that?
I just look like I'm taking a shit.
Yeah.
Arnold looks weird. Tell him to stop.